Welcome back to another episode of the John Harrison Podcast. I'm your host, Christy Frazier. I'm joined with Melissa Dunn and, of course, the John Harrison. On this episode, we're going to talk about culture and the fact that culture is essentially what you allow. So, John, talk to us about that.
Yeah, and I think we all have stories, of course, of, well, you should have seen how this person acted at work today and they didn't do anything about it. And Joe's come in late 3 days in a row and they don't even say anything about it. So, what we allow. If you allow poor behavior, poor performance, and it doesn't get dealt with from an accountability point of view, which is a huge part of what we talk about in our sessions, then of course that starts to build culture no matter what you have on the wall. And I really do think leaders miss this a lot. I think we're desperate. We've got short-term projects we have to get done, so we are turning our head to poor behavior, especially that your best people notice. And they're going, really? So I don't know if I want to work here. I don't know if I'm going to put out my best effort when I see that stuff. But I think what we miss is there's so many positive things happening at work. There's people that are doing the right things, many of them unsung heroes that are not on the real high up on the org chart. And I think we've got to remember as leaders to point out, make sure we're recognizing those people. And that doesn't always have to be public and a big deal, but they're hearing it. But we are sharing stories of victories. And I think sometimes the victories we share in companies is money. Well, we just had a great month. We hit our revenue goals, or we got a new client. Of course. But man, let's talk about, there was a great example yesterday of blah, blah, blah. And I'll just say this in general, then I'll come back with a specific story. But many times organizations give awards, pats on the back for people that have fixed a problem. We had a water leak. We had, 10 people didn't show up for work, so some people stayed over an extra 8 hours. Fixing a crisis, of course. But really, excellence is not having the crises, right? And I joke about this in our sessions. Like, we love crime shows, we love murder shows, we love people trapped in rubble of an earthquake shows. We are drawn to more chaos, so to speak. But I think, again, culture-wise, man, let's celebrate when things are going well. We don't have crises. We don't have crazy stuff happening. So, yes, let's celebrate revenue and new clients, but let's celebrate awesome behavior. So
it reminds me of walking into a job, and I was there for the interview, right? So I'm nervous, don't really know what to expect, but it was the person that greeted me at the desk, and biggest smile, very warm, very welcoming, good luck. I hope you do a good job. And then as I was getting ready to exit, of course, I had to sign out because I wasn't employed there yet. But the same thing. How did it go? Do you think you did a good job? I hope to see you back. You have a nice smile. And I got the job, and my tenure there, she was the same every single day with every single person that walked into that door. And that shaped the culture of people seeing us for the first time. We jokingly called her the face. And I'll share, I don't think she'll mind. This was at Central Arkansas Water, and her name is Shirley. So if you've ever paid a bill, if you've ever had to go in for anything, you know exactly who I'm talking about. And I'm sure you were greeted with that same warm smile, that same, what can I do for you? How can I help you? And as you were leaving, well, you be safe. Every single day. And I know she had bad days. I know there were things dumped on her and on her desk and things that she didn't like, personal stuff, because she has a family, she has a husband, she has 3 girls. I mean, she has life. But when somebody entered that building, they didn't get any of that. They got the smile. They got the warm. They got the welcome. They got, what can we do to serve you better? How can we make your day better? Because typically, if you're going to a utility from the outside, it's because you have a problem or you're trying to pay a bill. You're not just coming to say, oh, the water tastes great today, right? So she wasn't being met with people who were always happy to be there or happy to see her, but she didn't allow that to impact her response. So when you look at culture and what we allow, That's some of the things we've got to look at. She made sure that she didn't allow any negative behavior, feedback, angry customers to deflect from what she gave them and the service that we gave. So I am so thankful for Miss Shirley Tucker, who's still there, who's been there over 30 years, because she really shaped the culture for me of the expectation of what I was walking into that first day coming into that interview. And every day up until I left, she was one of the last people to walk me out on my last day.
That's sweet. She's a very, very personal person, but impressionable. Mm-hmm. Like, she is really trying to make an impression on you, one that you won't forget in a positive way. I can say that because my encounter with her has been the same.
Yeah.
Well, and that's legacy. That again, we do need to reward people that fix a crisis. Right? I'm not saying don't ever do that, but really, the best cultures are we're not having crises, and we've got people like Shirley, and let's make sure we're letting people know about that.
Well, and there's a lot of just thankless tasks and jobs too, right? I mean, I think about people who are doing lawn care for an organization. A lot of people subcontract that out, which is well and good, but there are also companies who hire their own full-time lawn care people. That's huge. That says a lot about the company's culture and organization right there. And the people you find that are doing that on a full-time basis for an organization are people just like Miss Shirley. They are happy to be there. The security officers that let you in the front gate, those people make a huge impressions too, right? And I realize sometimes there's regulations and things they have to follow, but they can still do it in a respectful and kind and welcoming way. And I've experienced that across all the industries, oil and gas, utility industries that have locked gates and things like that. Those people really choose every day to make an impact and a positive impression on the people they encounter.
Yeah, Jen used to manage restaurants before I met her, and I did not ever work in food service, but she always says she feels like every human being should at some point, because we all eat. Mm-hmm. And you think about waiters and busboys and cashiers and hosts. And we see there's some people go to restaurants and they go, oh, can I sit at Shirley's table? Because they want that waiter or waitress, or I want that cashier at Walmart or whatever it is, and it's not just because of their technical skills or how much they know about the food, it's because of the aura they give off. And we were talking right before we recorded this that, of course, we see so much negative stuff on social media, and there is negative stuff happening in the world, and there will be till the day the world is over. I hate to tell people that, but there's so much good happening. And I just think in our workplaces, it's that double-edged sword of you've got to deal with the things that are causing problems. You have to deal with disrespect. You have to deal with attendance issues. Even something as simple as people having side conversations in meetings. I had a leader at CAT. He would stop the meeting, and it was kind of like being in school. But he would go, "Now, Christy and Melissa, do you have something to add right now? Or if you need to chat about something, you please step outside and do that." And now again, people went, that was kind of awkward when he did that. But he was like, it's disrespectful. Mm-hmm. Someone's up in front of the room and 3 or 4 people are whispering during the whole meeting. So it's everything from blatant things that we see, people not wearing their safety equipment and all that, or their safety PPE, but it's also daily stuff like that. Of course, that has to be dealt with. But I think I thought of this example just, again, minutes before this podcast, but my first plant at Caterpillar, there was a group of hourly people. They all worked together, and on their own, their supervisor didn't tell them to do this. I didn't tell them to do this. It was kind of the beginning of the year, and they all got with each other. There was about 6 of them, and they started asking each other, so when are you planning your vacation this year? You like to you always go fishing in April. Are you still doing that? The point is, they were trying to figure out how they could schedule their vacations not over the top of each other, and so that they could keep their cell running in the factory without kind of losing any productivity or stuff. And I will never forget that, because I heard about it. I brought him into my office. I chatted with him about that. That's unsung stuff that you're not going to hear about. And there's probably no other human being at Caterpillar that will remember that story other than me. And I just remember thinking, these are pretty special people. that they are thinking about the customer, and kind of like Shirley, right? They don't even see the customer basically, because we ship stuff out of that factory, but they're like, we're going to make sure we care about each other as employees to make sure we're all able to take our vacations, but we're going to make sure our customers are taken care of. And I just love stuff like that. And to me, that's the kind of stuff that needs to be celebrated.
I think sometimes it is so easy to focus on the negative, right? It pops out at you and you're like, oh man, it's just deflating. Mm-hmm. But even like with our upward feedback surveys, right? Our tendency, and we've had multiple conversations with leaders over the time, but their tendency is to immediately go to the red in those score sheets, you know what I'm saying? And yes, while the red is an opportunity to improve, but wow, look at all of the green. Things are going so well. So I would just encourage people to try to keep a balance in that and realize, we all have opportunities to improve, whether it's personally, our emotions, our relationships, the work we're doing. But you know what? We're all generally good people, and we're doing a lot of things right. So.
And you say that, and we're all giggling, because even here at John Harrison, we're guilty of that.
Amen.
We get extremely well or highly recommend, and we get one that says just liked, and what did we do? What happened? Did we change something? Do we need to change it back? Because I think we're prone to focus on the 1 versus the 99 that said, you're at 100%, 99 percentile, but we still want that 1%. We still are always striving to be excellent. But to your point, that's where balance comes in. Yeah. Because I don't care where you work or what you do, there's going to be some days where things do not go well. And it's how you adjust and how you change that will be the major impact. I love the title of this episode that we're doing, because it simply says, culture is what you allow. So what am I allowing that's impacting the culture, either good or bad? And if I'm doing some bad stuff, what can I do to stop it? So just making sure that we're balanced on both sides.
Yeah, it's again, I do think of it like safety. You can have a safety celebration, you can have a safety training class, but all organizations know safety is a minute by minute. Are we doing the right behaviors so we're safe? I tell companies, some companies have safety as one of their core values, and I get it. But it's really a result of behaviors. Safety, customer satisfaction, profitability, safety is usually a result of behaviors like dedication and teamwork and integrity. So same with culture. Like we can say, people is one of our values. Like we love our people, and you put that on the wall, fine. But what behaviors are we really cause that culture to happen? And I think we'll end this one by saying this. Realize your number one recruiters for talent at your company is not human resources. It's not the CEO. It's all of your employees. And they will be hanging out with their friends, or they'll be hanging out at a family function. And somebody says, hey, didn't you just get a new job? Or do you still work at ABC? And if people say, the person says, yep, well, how is it there? Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you what happened last week. And they start throwing out these negative stories that is never followed with, are they hiring? Right. But if somebody says, well, I work at XYZ company, well, how is it? They go, you know what? Kind of like Christy said, well, we're not perfect. I mean, we're a bunch of human beings, and we have some bad days. But I'll tell you what, they deal with things that need to be dealt with at this company. They deal with poor behavior. They deal with poor performance. But I'm telling you, it's a lot of good people, and we're generally doing the right thing, and we care about our customers, and that is always going to be followed with, hey, are they hiring? Do they have any openings there? They won't even ask about money at that point sometime. And I think for you CEOs listening to this, you cannot underestimate that. It's the daily culture that is going to make or break your recruiting, your retention, and ultimately your customer satisfaction and every other thing you measure on your scoreboard, so to speak.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the John Harrison Podcast. As you get ready to tune off, we just want you to reflect on this question. Are you setting clear expectations, and are you being consistent with your leadership? If you're doing those two things, I promise the culture will stick and it will create a positive work environment.